with it very easily. So my reason for going ahead with mobile development had nothing to do with ki I want to do development or should I go mobile or web. I wanted to, when I started, build applications. Like that was the goal. So how it ended for me was like we came back from our college like when quarantine somewhat around that time. So we wanted to build applications and start with that. Back then the obvious choice to go ahead with was downloading Android Studio and building an application for Android, putting it up on Play Store. But in my college there are a lot of iOS users. There are a lot of people here who have like iOS devices. So even if we built an application, we would not be able to send them that APK. We couldn't send them a Play Store link. So that is when I was looking up for ways in which I can build applications for multiple platforms without having to learn both like Java, Kotlin, or the iOS side of things like Swift or other programming language as such. So that is when I came across Flutter. It was very new, like there were a few creators in it. And back when I started, understand for a few weeks what it actually meant. For a long time, I thought it was a programming language, but it's a framework and it's a UI toolkit that helps you build for multi-platform, like cross-platform applications. So that is how it started. And since then, I think it has been more about, how easy it makes it to like both build mobile applications and also build web applications with it. So yeah.
So can you please describe the roadmap that you have followed?
So starting out, I feel Flutter, since then, like back then, there weren't many resources to how you can start with Flutter. I started out by reading a Medium article. It was by one of the Google developer experts, Pooja Bhaumik. So she talked a lot of things about Flutter, like how easy it is. And I started out with a free YouTube course. Like it is, I think, outdated right now, and I don't think it would be available on YouTube as well. So I then moved on to a Udemy course, which was by Dr. Angela Yu. That was quite comprehensive. And from then moving on forward, I did a few videos from that course, learned a few things that I wanted. Like I was working I was working as an intern at this company. I didn't know anything about responsive design, so it was a lot of like Googling stuff and trying to find videos that would teach me how to make apps responsive. And then like as use cases came around, like I was working with this application, so I wanted to integrate a video SDK. So I was introduced to all these different options out there. The company that I work at currently also like builds video SDKs. So it has been a journey sort of like that has just snowballed into this. Today, if you were to start with Flutter, I feel there are a lot more resources, a lot more people have been building videos. And I feel the best way to get started would be there are like very good free courses for you to look up. Like if you could just go over to YouTube, you can find a playlist by maybe some Google developer expert like Vandad, or other creators like Pawan Kumar himself from India, who is a Google developer expert. So they have made all these videos. You can just refer them. There are courses, as in there are playlists that you can follow, or there are like full length videos that you can just go along with. And for me, I think the most difficult part of getting started with Flutter is just installing it. So after you're done with the installation, you can go ahead, learn about widgets, try to build your applications over the weekend, like learn about some basic UI side of things. Maybe try to integrate an API and you're done. If you are familiar with any other programming language, it would be very easy to get started on. And a lot of like your time as a Flutter developer would majorly go into the optimizations of app. Like you'll know the basic stuff, you'll just have to optimize it and you'll have to learn as you go.
So in this generation, can you please describe the opportunities in app development?
There are a lot more opportunities right now. For a long time, like people have had this concern ki if I learn Flutter, so would I even get a job or something like that? A lot more companies right now are hiring for it. Like this is a common question I get. What are the companies working with Flutter? So there are a lot more there are of course like a lot more startups that use Flutter because it's a relatively younger framework, only about like 3 to 4 years old. And there are startups that have been building initially like startups that built Android applications. Then they found their are iOS users as well, but they cannot hire like a whole iOS development team to cater to this audience. So they moved cross-platform, maybe to React Native or maybe to like Flutter. And like there are companies like Zerodha, if you know about it. It's a very good trading platform if you are into that. And they are like, I feel they generate a lot of revenue. I think last year's revenue was a lot. So they have been using Flutter to handle like millions of transactions that are there. There are companies like Front Row that are in a tech space that use Flutter. Other companies like Kuhu, Yellow Class, which is also another edtech app used by millions of students, and a lot more applications. Not here in India, like globally as well. Like Google Pay, if you use that for payments, is built on top of Flutter. The recent 22 strategy by Flutter team said that PUBG, Shein, and such companies also use Flutter, not possibly in their applications, but maybe as like an engine to compile to some platforms. So yeah, a lot more opportunities right now, but not if you are looking for some big MNCs, because it's difficult for them to adopt to newer technologies. I feel like one company I know of, like Spotify, hires Flutter developers, but maybe like in the global region. So yeah, if you are like interested in working as a Flutter developer, one of our goals is also as a community to help you find better opportunities. So if you are looking to connect with earliest startups, you can always reach out to me.
So as we know that you are a developer advocate in 100ms, right? So can you please describe this term, that developer advocate?
Yeah, so developer advocacy, or developer relations, is somewhat a new field in technology, and a really cool one, because a lot more people are going into it. For me, it was a blend of this community and tech role. Like I was already working as a developer, I already had experience like writing code, maybe looking up answers on Stack Overflow and such. But advocacy, when it comes to it, I feel is more a blend of this people's connection. Like you need to connect with other developers that are out there, try to reach out to them, try to understand their problems, and like maybe talk to them, like why should they adopt a particular technology that you are trying to pitch them. So it was a good fit for me because I had already been working as a developer, but then I moved on to these community roles. Like I had a community of my own. I was talking a lot more about tech stacks that you should use on both like YouTube and also LinkedIn. Um, and that is like how it like sort of like snowballed for me. And a very fun story, like I wrote an article on developer advocate roles for Flutter developers. It was for my newsletter that I write. So I sent it out to my mailing list and I put a screenshot of that. Okay, this is something I had done. And that is when the founder of the current company that I work at reached out, and he asked if I would be interested in being a developer advocate for them. So it has been like completely completely complete journey that I didn't thought I would have. But yeah, so right now as a developer advocate, my role is more of helping the community in trying to understand how video platforms or like video SDKs work. So we recently wrote a very comprehensive article on working with WebRTC, because when I was working on it, I asked a lot of people in the Flutter community, like, hey, what is the big problem that you're facing? Or what is something that you have had problem with? So they mentioned that WebRTC, which is open source, is very difficult to integrate because there isn't any documentation on it. So we try to take up that pain point, try to write a comprehensive guide on how you can work with WebRTC and Flutter. And we have released that article recently, and I feel it should be available on Google if anyone is looking to maybe later on integrate video calls in their, like video calls or audio calls. And we have also had a small section on how 100ms can help, because we want to like minimize the effort that developers put in building their video chat applications or video applications as such. Yeah.
Okay, so what is your view on open source, like the open source contribute?
So I personally am like, I think I'm a bigger advocate of open source as such. So a lot more people I feel should go into it. Flutter itself is a open source framework. Like you can just go over to their GitHub and check out the issues that you are working on. a little thing that we do is like before every major update, we just go over to their issues, check out what they might be announcing. So that is like a fun game we have. But anyways, like if you have any problems, I think the Flutter community is very welcoming. If you create a issue, they'll help you. Like if there is already an issue on it, so they'll help you like go back to it. And you can also contribute. Not only the official Flutter repository, but there are a lot more repositories that you can look up. Flutter community plus plugins. I got to contribute to that recently, and they also have an ongoing challenge for anyone looking to contribute. I've contributed to Flutter Fire also, the one that manages the Firebase plugins. So that was also really cool. Like they helped it throughout your way. And I think like as developers and possibly as students in your college, like you should be active on GitHub, other social platforms. Try to connect like with developers in your niche, because you'll find like more repositories, as in like if you follow me on GitHub, like I'll star all these repositories, they would come up on your explore. If I follow you, like it should be something like that. So try to find these developers around. You'll find issues and like projects to work on. I have some projects that I have put out to community, and they have had like good response, more people contributing, more people starting their journey. One thing that I do not like is, how some communities out there like try to, have people like contribute DSA questions and stuff to just increase their contribution. I wouldn't recommend that. Instead, if you are doing development, or try to make a good issue, like try to work on a good first issue. It could be a documentation change, but don't like just try to have those green squares. Instead, make a contribution that really matters in the long run. And also open source, one more thing that I would recommend is, if you are a developer, try to have some projects that you would do, put it out, and just have like people outside from your community, maybe open one, because you would learn these new practices out there. You will learn about something that you might have done differently. So yeah.
So also you're a YouTuber, right?
Yeah.
So can you please just tell us your YouTube journey, like how it's going on, or at the beginning?
So my YouTube channel is very old, I would say. Like I made it in 7th standard. That was very young. I think I made it in around 7th, 8th, like wahan pe bridge mein. So I was making some videos in school for fun. I had no serious plans, but when I moved to tech, a lot for me, like YouTube has been more of a profile building space, jahan pe I just put out content. Jaise a lot of people like ask me ki how do you even start ye YouTube ki journey. So I tell them ki if you are already working as a developer, jaise if you are writing some code maybe for a website, so you'll run into some error. Aise to hai nahi like you wouldn't get any error throughout your development experience. You'll possibly try to figure it out, and you'll find all these Stack Overflow answers jahan se you'll solve it, right? So there is always a chance that something that you stumbled on might not be as well documented. And this is not only for YouTube, like this is for any blog that you're trying to write. Just try to get content from that. You don't have to go out of your way to have content. You can just try to put out content. You just stumble across some error that you're trying to fix and such stuff. Sorry, give me a minute. So that is how like I recommend starting out with YouTube, or like any blogging platform as such. Share like what you're working. For me, file building started with YouTube. I was in tech, so I had already had a YouTube channel, so I started making videos on it, pushing them out, and that is how like it worked out for me. Right now on YouTube, I'm trying to like I upload very less, so that is something I've heard from a lot more people. So I'm trying to be strict with the schedule, try to make more videos. Yeah.
So do you think that YouTube can boost or YouTube boosted your journey, or at the starting when you just joined to a job, do you think that YouTube actually boosted your job or your journey?
Yeah, I think like a big boost to my journey, I would say, would be not as such YouTube, but more of like social profiles as in LinkedIn or Twitter. because YouTube was there. A lot of it, like a lot of YouTube videos get organically, like they have this audience, just say they get from searches and more of that stuff. But building a profile on LinkedIn and also on Twitter and trying to just put out content has been a better source of, like, this thing that you just mentioned, where I get more up, like I have been getting opportunities, and right now also with my job. So I got this through LinkedIn. I have like previously gotten like clients and stuff from LinkedIn when I was working as a freelancer. I have had people I've got to connect with people through like LinkedIn. I have got to learn about like open issues that are available on some of these repositories from Twitter. So Twitter is also good. Twitter pay you can also find like more opportunities because a lot more people just post it there. And so yeah, I would say, like, instead of trying to build your YouTube channel, you can also go for this if you are not into that kind of stuff, because YouTube requires somewhat of, I feel, that dedication where you have to show up every possibly like every week once to upload a video. But LinkedIn and that you can do in your free time. If you're not comfortable putting out content, try to just connect and reach out to people there. And I would say, yeah, my community was a big thing to back me up, to like help me get this developer advocacy role, because obviously if I'll apply, I would have to like show experience jahan pe I know how to manage communities and stuff, and how I know to connect with people. So their like community was a big support. YouTube was a good backup. Yeah.
Nice. So moving to the chat box, I can see that Nupta asks, how do you think community learning impacts a developer journey?
I think a lot of it like does help you in a lot more ways. Community learning, as in like if you are part of some community trying to build projects there, you will definitely learn a lot. You can maybe try to work with other developers, as in like just try to I've got to connect with a lot more people through hackathons than I have had just as a sending out requests. Because when I participate in a hackathon and if people are introducing themselves, I just reach out to them ki, okay, I am from this university, and if you would like to just team up randomly. So I have like had people connect with them from there. And interestingly, the first session that I delivered was through this mutual connection I had made through one of these hackathons. So I would say like communities, I feel right now, are the biggest thing that have happened to tech, and possibly the biggest resource that you can use to your advantage right now. Try to be part of some communities. Just say, I know there are a lot more tech communities, not only in Flutter. Just say iske beyond be, like if you are working with any particular tech stack, there are journal communities as well. If you just do development in any programming language, try to get in, try to talk with some few people there. And they are always welcoming, because they are also taking out time from their schedule to connect with other developers. So you'll probably find someone who would help you in the long run, because a lot of these connections go even beyond this online space. Just say now, right now, you can reach out to some of these people, maybe attend like a offline hackathon at one of their campuses or such things. So yeah.
So the next question is, can you give some freelancing tips for developers?
I am not much of a freelancer. I worked on like 2 projects. That 2 were like majorly development projects. What I would recommend is ki if you are a freelancer, I have seen from like personal experience, like platforms like Fiverr and Upwork don't work as good for developers, I feel, because they work good for like if you're into some other design roles, you might get some leads, but that also takes time, like around 6 months. I'm saying that from like YouTube videos, but from a developer's perspective, I haven't had like good success with getting leads from there. Instead, what I would recommend is like if you're into app development, let's say you're trying to build as a freelance app developer. For me, what worked was like if I was building an application, I would just record key this is the app output, and I would share it to my LinkedIn.
Nice. So, guys, if you want to ask any question, you can ask.
you have any question, guys, like you can just raise your hand and you can ask directly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing, I had one question, Aditya, like just like you said, like showcasing your work, like, you know, it actually attracts, not only it attracts a lot of audience, but also bring you a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
So can you please enlighten on this words, like how well a person should start networking? If like, let's say if there's a freshman year student, so like how he or she can start like, you know, sharing his or her, you know, whatever things he or she has done, right? So like as a beginner, like they're completely clueless that how to share my works to social media. So can you please tell us about something about a few things about it?
I think like after just say the first step I would recommend maybe have a platform that you would put out content to, because you need a space where you are comfortable sharing content. So this varies from person to person. Some people are more comfortable on screen. Just say I can't sit and write more of like technical blogs. I'm more comfortable making videos, speaking at sessions. So maybe just try to select one of these platforms. Maybe go with the social platform like LinkedIn and Twitter. Initially when you're starting out, you might not have that technical expertise to share on, but if you're coming from like somewhat of a background, you might know something around. Just say I started out as a designer. I didn't have any technical experience. I was working as a graphic designer initially on Leads. I was working, then I moved on to UI UX design because I thought graphic designing didn't have that much things to do. So I moved to UI UX. It had better paying internships, and तो फिर उसके बाद I moved into tech. So you can have that मतलब पूरा growth phase जहाँ पे you just explore different technologies. And let us say if you are in your first year, you are adamant on like going into tech itself. You select a tech stack, just try to learn in it. Just say if you're, let us say you're working with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, very basic languages. If you're learning about something, maybe share about that, right? It could be anything basic. And for your initial connections, just say the first connections that you make, I would recommend having a common ground, because most people do this mistake where they send out just follow request to anyone they see. They just try to connect with anyone. So generally, like if you follow me with a 0 follower account, I might not I might not acknowledge you. But I would say like try to have some common ground, as in I recommend participating in hackathons. Wahan pe mostly the people that are there would either be in their first, second, third, fourth year of college, or maybe just near graduates. Though you can just reach out to them ki, like if you're participating in hackathon, connect through the server, or maybe become part of communities, because obviously like if you are into Flutter development, if you like join our server or like Flutter India or Flutter Ka official server, try to reach out to people from there, so they'll have this common ground of where you both are Flutter developers. So try to have that. And like just a lot of like when I started with Flutter, so I was just sharing wo basic apps that you built in the course as video recordings, because video recordings work better back then on LinkedIn. So you can just do that. It doesn't have to be yeah, you have to just from the start share expert level in someone's life. It could be just something basic, that is something new that you learned today. So yeah.
All right. So next question, I can see that by Harsh Poddar, that to be more familiar with Flutter, can we see how Flutter works, like an introduction to interface of Flutter or something like that?
Yeah, let me show it to you.
Yeah. Are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, I'll just share, give it. I thought I'll go with the, give me a minute. So, okay. I hope my screen is visible. I'll just open command prompt once.
Yep, it is visible. Guys, you guys can also write in the chat whether it's visible or not. Is it visible, guys? Just write in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you, guys.
So like I mentioned, if you want to build like a Android application or stuff, yeah, the initial way of going about it was, you can learn about native Android development, Java or Kotlin. But again, like people who have iOS devices wouldn't be obviously able to match you there, because you can't send someone with the iOS device a link to Play Store application to download it. And you might also have to build like a landing page for your application. So that is where Flutter comes in. It's more of a framework that lets you build for all these different platforms. Right now you can build applications for iOS, Android, and Windows and web in stable. Mac OS and Linux are still in beta. So some of the features that we obviously like to mention whenever we are talking about Flutter is, first is the high velocity development. Very fast. When you're writing code, you can see the changes quickly on screen. Expressive, very expressive with the UI, because there are a lot of pixels. Like you can modify every pixel on screen, and you also get native iOS and Android experience. Because unlike other frameworks like React Native uses bridges to like build these applications. Flutter compiles it natively, and there are a lot more companies that are using it. And I don't know, I've mentioned some of these, but Alibaba, Google, Keywords, Hamilton Musical, and all these companies. And there's obviously Zerodha, that initially built a native application. They moved to React Native to build their application, because they realized they also wanted to cater to an iOS audience. So they had to move from native Android to a cross-platform framework. They chose React Native, but the build was not as good. And there is also a very good technical blog by their team itself. And lastly, they moved to Flutter because it was more much better. This is like a simplified comparison between Flutter and React Native. There are certain points where React Native wins. One is the language, because React Native uses JavaScript to write code in, whereas Flutter uses Dart programming language. So this is very important to mention, because for a long time I thought Flutter is a programming language, but it's not. It uses Dart programming language to write code in. And yeah, we come back to it. But what I want to show you is the first is like, I'll just once go over to the Flutter dev website, which is the official website. If you want to like get started with Flutter, this is the place that you go to. And you can go down to get started, and yahan se just install Flutter. So it could be Windows, Mac OS, Linux, depending on whatever like operating system you are on. If you are on Windows, very simple installation. You can get the Flutter SDK zip file, and you'll have to like save it to your let me just this PC. Go down to like operating system, and inside this you can create a folder like src, save your Flutter. You will like download it as a zip. Fir yahan pe you can extract it, and there you'll have like Flutter SDK on your system. Then there are certain basic steps that you have to do, like add Flutter to your environment variables. And I would recommend just say in not to follow my instructions right now. Just go and watch a YouTube video. It would be very simple installation. But once you install it, like you can run the Flutter version command, and it will tell you like what Flutter version you are on. I need to upgrade, but I'll do that later. But right now I'm on Flutter 2.1.0, and we have a Dart like Dart programming language as one of the tools, Dart SDK. So yeah, 2.1.60. So when you're working with Flutter, you have to create a new Flutter project. I'll just quickly navigate to my desktop once, and you can run the Flutter create the name of your app, like let us say new app. This is the command we run to create a new Flutter project, and I'll just hit enter. So this should take some time. It wouldn't be much. Okay, so yeah, hit enter. Like it will create a new Flutter project, and you can see like a folder appear here on top of the screen. It wrote 96 files for us, and now we can just open it in a code editor. So we'll open it in VS Code for this particular session, but you can also use Android Studio as an IDE. You can use VS Code as an IDE. And this is like the default Flutter project. So what happens is like by default Flutter, in the latest stable version, it would create for Android. It would create applications for Android. There would be a iOS folder, which would have code for your like iOS apps. There is also a web folder, so you can run your Flutter application on web, and also a Windows folder. This is the Windows folder. The main particular file that you majorly write your code in is this lib folder. Inside this lib folder called main.dart. So this is where like your code goes, and you can create like more files inside the lib folder, all written in Dart programming language when you're working with Flutter. And then we also have one more file that you particularly need to pay attention to is the pubspec.yaml file. Now this file would have like the configuration stuff for your Flutter project. Like if you want to add some external packages, they would go here, and want to like get some edits or some fonts, so they would go here. So yeah, we'll come back to our newly created project and we'll just try to run it. By default, it would run it on Windows. You can connect your mobile device to see output on your Android device, or you can just change it to Chrome, try to run it there. And I'll just run this project once. So as with any programming language, the code would start with this main function because this is where like this is the way we write the main function in Dart. It's a lot similar to, I would say, Java, because this is the return type of the function. This is the function name and function body here. And we are just trying to run this app in Flutter widgets. So you can create a new widget and it would have like the code in it, and that would just render like things on screen. So let us say like you want to add some text on screen, so it would be a text widget. For example, right here, like if you want to add some text on screen, so you'll type in text and you'll pass in the string value that you want to show, and it would render that on screen. And similarly, like this is the default project that all default application that all new projects come with. So this is a very simple counter application. Like if you click on the bottom navigation button, it would just increment the text on screen. So let's just wait for this to run. Okay, so this is the default project that Flutter creates for us. It has a app bar on top. This is the top app bar, a simple text in the middle of the screen, some counter value, and when you click on it, it will just increase the value by 1. So like if we change this to some other string, let us say hello world, and if I save this file, you can see like changes happen here. Just like as I wrote the code, I saved my file, you would see like the changes quickly happen here, and it changed the text to hello world from the initial text. So yeah, that is how majorly it works. And you can run it also on your mobile device, so it would be different. Like the height and width would be different, and that way you can build applications for multiple platforms. So
Anyone having any doubt, guys? Like if you have any doubt, you guys can ask. And yep, there's a social media challenge as well, so please stay tuned for that. Anyone till then, like if anyone has having any kind of doubts, you guys can ask directly to Aditya, right? Like
You guys can mute yourself also.
yeah, you guys can even like raise your hand and we can ask you to unmute. So yeah, anyone, like if they want to ask anything. Okay. Okay, so there is someone known as Devagni. Are there any drawbacks you experience while using it? Like
yeah, so when I first started with it, as I mentioned, the community was a lot more young. I remember once working for this company, we were trying to do something, and it had like somewhat drawbacks, as in since the community support wasn't as much, there are certain use cases that you can't as such work on, because we were young developers. We didn't know how to go into that depth of and try to build like something on our own. So that drawback was there, but I feel like community has grown a lot since, kyunki abhi, like if you talk to anyone, like if you talk to people, they are mostly familiar. And I feel with the Flutter festivals going on right now, there are a lot more people who are being introduced to Flutter from their college days itself. So yeah, I think like a lot more use cases are now covered. Just I saw them Flutter publish in the latest, like the Flutter launch, they talked about how a lot of the packages that were not null safe have been migrated, and the top packages are all available with null safety. um, when I was working with Flutter, like null safety was also one of the problems that I had initially understanding, but right after like working on a few projects, it has become more clearer.
All right. By the way, you were talking about that you are having your own community. Can you please tell us more about your community? Like, yeah.
So I like, as I mentioned, when I started with Flutter, there were not a lot more people working on it. Like both in my university, there were not people who had experience or who like wanted to like who knew about Flutter. So I built a Discord server. So right now we are around 900 members. I really need to change this. But if you want to join us, you can go over to teamaditya.co. You can like join our Discord and maybe get a free Flutter resource book from here. Like this has most of the free courses that are available, and we help people with like both connect with other Flutter developers. If you need some help in asking questions, we would help you with that. If you want to find opportunities, I think we have set like the minimum criteria to post opportunities right now to minimum 10K stipend, because I feel like unpaid Flutter internships are not worth it. If you're ever looking for like internships in Flutter, or if you know someone who is, so you can always send them to our server. We'll help you connect there. And that is it. Like a lot, like we do a lot of stuff around Flutter. So if I get any opportunities, I try to share them there. So yeah.
All right. So my next question to you is, can you tell me what are the good qualities of a community? Like, how do you define that whether this community is good or not?
Yeah, I think from my personal experience, a community becomes better when it's more inclusive. Like somebody new joining in, they should feel at home. And secondly, they are also better if like people are more interactive in ways, as in if like maybe you are asking a question, if every time a mentor has to reply, so then it gets somewhat difficult for all of the members there. But if like people among themselves try to help each other, that would be, I think, a better indication of that. We had one of these sessions with one with Google Developer Expert. We have a few of them on server right now. So Pooja ma'am, like I mentioned, I had followed her since the start, so we had her on our server, and that day like a lot more people joined us, and we were having like the previous members answer, or talk to a lot more people who were joining in today, and it like felt really good, because that was the first time we have had this much both interaction and both like people helping, just trying to just help each other and just make them feel welcome. So yeah, I would say that was a really good indicator of that for me.
All right. Yep, that sounds really great. I mean, like I can also interpret this thing in our community. What happened? So when we started this, so what happened is like we were doing all the sessions on YouTube Live. Like
Yeah.
maximum sessions were on YouTube Live. But then like suddenly we thought that because like the we were getting views, and we were getting like everything nice, like feedback from people. But the thing is like somehow we felt that it like people weren't able to connect with us,
Yeah.
right? So that's why like from that time we completely switched on, like no, we will do the session on Zoom, right, where people will be directly able to interact, like just like they're interacting with you right now, right? So we wanted to make that connection, and after that we will later on we will be uploading this video to YouTube, so that they can get for their future reference. So this is one kind of thing, and then we have also started some like some discussions, like we are having some, and soon we are having like on upcoming days, on upcoming weeks, we are having some mentor mentee session, like where the people can interact with some of our alumni or some of the mentors, industry mentors that we have. And also of course, like I also invite you to be a part of that like that mentor mentee session as well. Like people will get great knowledge. So yeah, so these are a few things that we are doing right now. So that's what like I completely agree with your point that you said about like for the good community, like people should feel that they are at their home and they get to interact a lot. And it's that's what like a community means, and that's what the community culture we are trying to bring in our college. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think you are like right about that, because for me too, one of the reasons was ki I could get I had a YouTube channel, but the only way to interact with was like through comments. So a Discord community was more like people could actually feel like they were talking to asking their questions, and also getting answers to it.
Yeah.
So this connection really helps. I feel like this for this particular session, I would say is it was more of over coffee chat or like that. But there are a lot other sessions, just say if I go to a particular session, if I deliver a talk, so it would happen on YouTube, and like people can't actually ask me questions or get their doubts cleared. This kind of interaction is more open, as in if someone wants to, obviously you can just unmute them and ask them to
Yeah, of
ask
course.
them.
Guys, like if you really want to ask right now any question, you can unmute. We can give you that permission. You can just need to raise your hand and you can ask directly to Aditya whatever doubt you have. Anyone? I mean, you can either write in the chat or you can just raise your hand. Anyone, guys? Okay. Devargo, do you want to ask anything? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're.
All right. So you were saying something, I guess.
I was saying, like, we are also trying to do something similar on our campus. We're trying to build a better community. One tech community, I would say, that would organize events and stuff. So,
yeah. All right. So I think that's kind of bring towards the end of the session. So right now I will be telling you guys about the social media challenge that you all were waiting for. So right now we will be taking an assess, like I would request everyone to turn on their videos, right, so that we can take a quick selfie, and it will be great. And all you have to do is you just need to upload it on your you just need to take the assess of this and upload it on your socials, and just tag ACM, and just tag us, tag Aditya, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. And it can be anywhere. It can be on LinkedIn, or it can be on Twitter. So these two other platforms, you just you just need to take the SS and put it on it, and we'll be selecting few of the tweets or the posts, and the winners will receive a swag kit from us, right? So last time we did this, but there was people did post it, but we did reach out to them, but they didn't reply us back. So yeah, so unfortunately they didn't receive the swag. So this time I would highly recommend everyone kindly reply if we reach out to you, kindly reply us back on time so that we can reach out to you, and we can provide all the swags and all. So yeah, I would request everyone to please turn on your video, please. Everyone, will take a nice screenshot or a selfie. All right. So everyone, भी बहुत कोई नहीं किया यार, सब कोई टर्न ऑन वीडियो टर्न ऑन कर लो, कोई बात नहीं है. Okay, Amit, Arijit, everyone I can see. Avinash, okay. Nitin. All right. So yep, I'm just taking few screenshots. Even you guys can even take your screenshots from your own. Yeah. So you guys can either show some signs or something like that, guys. All right. Cool. Yeah, we did. So yeah, you guys just need to post these screenshots, or if you have taken, just put it on your socials and just tag us so that we know that you have posted about us, and we can reach you out, and we will declare the winners and all. So, and one more announcement, small announcement, that but since we are talking more about community, so there's a very new upcoming community we are going to have. So what we are going to have is, we are going to have a Microsoft student community in IEM in our college. So and we'll be having some interview rounds, right? And it will be a very exclusive chapter, because that there will be people, you guys, we will be mentoring you completely personally, and basically you guys will be participating on different hackathons or some government level hackathons, like some DRDO and stuffs. And we will be mentoring you directly, and all the seniors and alumni will be mentoring you directly. So there will be interview rounds. We have already circulated the forms, and we will circulate that form once again in all your groups, official or unofficial groups. So yeah, you will get to know about it. And and we will get on all the notifications and about related to that community will reach out to you very soon. So yeah, stay tuned for that as well. And also one more announcement, one last announcement. So one of our seniors, most of you know him, I guess. His name is Soham Biswas. Right now, he is working as a computing engineer at CERN Geneva. Right. So in 2021, there were only 2 people who got hired at CERN, so from all over India. So he was one of them, and also he cracked GSOC in his second year. So yeah, so that session we are going to have on 30th of March. So I would highly recommend you guys to join that session, and we'll have fun. So yep, that was pretty much it from my side. So all right, so Aditya, do you have any last words, like anything you want to say about the community or to the audience, anything like that?
I would say like maybe if you want to like after this session explore Flutter, I would highly recommend that you'll have like projects
course.
built across platforms.
Mhm.
If you have any questions, you can always reach out. My username is common across platforms. You can type in Aditya Thakur and XD, or you can just go over to adityathakur.in. That would have like some of the socials there. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me here today for this session.
Yeah.
And really happy to be like part of this. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Thanks a lot. It really means a lot. Like, thank you for joining. Yep. All right. So I think we can end it. So yep, Tufan sir, you can end the session right now.